Hello friends. What happens when a fire sign meets another fire sign, when the archer of the zodiac locks eyes with the lioness? Is it passion, chaos, or something powerful enough to reshape their entire love story? Let's dive deeply into the connection between a Sagittarius man and a Leo woman, exploring not just the sparks but the emotional architecture, the long-term harmony, the conflicts, and the unshakable magnetic pull these two share. After watching, if you'd like to support the channel, click the Thanks button right under this video or use the donation alerts link in the description. Your support really helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for being here. Now let's continue. Chemistry. Initial attraction. The first moment a Sagittarius man notices a Leo woman, the world around him seems to soften, quiet, and tilt just enough for him to realize that something unusual is happening. It's not merely attraction, it's recognition, the kind that feels ancient, instinctive, and impossible to rationalize. Her presence arrives before she speaks, before she moves. It announces itself like a shift in the weather. She radiates confidence in the way the sun radiates heat, naturally, consistently, without ever apologizing for how powerfully she affects everything near her. Her glow doesn't just draw eyes, it draws curiosity, admiration, and a strange sense of hope. Sagittarius notices how she lights up the space around her, how people unconsciously lean toward her warmth as if she's the center of gravity in any room. Her confidence isn't loud or abrasive. It's regal, born of knowing who she is and what she will or will not accept from the world. It's the kind of confidence that promises both adventure and security. He sees the way she laughs, full, unapologetic, golden, and his heart stumbles for a beat. Her boldness is magnetic, but it's the sincerity behind it that pulls him in deeper. She isn't bold to impress, she's bold because she lives life from her heart outward. What strikes him most is her personality, a combination of strength and warmth that feels like standing near a fire on a cold night. She's dazzling, yes, but also human, open, generous with her energy. He senses passion, loyalty, a fierce independence softened by an equally fierce desire to love deeply and completely. That duality fascinates him. It's like watching a wildfire that knows exactly where it wants to burn. The Leo woman, meanwhile, observes the Sagittarius man with the intuitive sharpness of a queen assessing a charming wanderer who dares to approach her throne with easy confidence instead of trembling reverence. She notices something unique. He isn't intimidated, not even slightly. Where others shrink beneath her intensity, he seems refreshed by it, almost delighted. It's as though her fire awakens something in him rather than overwhelming him. She sees how his eyes wander the room, not with disinterest, but with curiosity, the same curiosity he carries toward life itself. Sagittarius moves like someone who trusts the world to reveal wonders at every corner. There is a lightness to him, not of irresponsibility but of optimism. She senses adventure in the way he holds himself, as if he's halfway between the desire to stay and the instinct to explore. He approaches her with a grin that feels almost reckless but undeniably sincere. His energy is unfiltered, his enthusiasm unforced. This authenticity hits her in a place she doesn't show often. She recognizes him instantly as a fellow fire sign, someone whose spirit burns brightly, someone who dreams fearlessly and moves boldly. There's a shared wildness to their souls, a shared refusal to be tamed by expectation or fear. She is the sun, he is the spark that refuses to fade. Sagittarius stands tall in her presence, not out of arrogance, but out of genuine admiration. His spirit says, "I see you, and I'm not afraid." Leo finds this intoxicating. She's used to admiration, even adoration, but she's not used to someone who sees her strength and meets it with equal fire rather than flattery. When he smiles at her, it feels like an invitation to adventure, not a plea for approval. And when he speaks, she hears excitement, honesty, and a touch of unpredictability. All qualities that make her heart race, not from insecurity but anticipation. Their attraction isn't simply physical, though the physical chemistry is undeniable from the first glance. It's intellectual, emotional, spiritual. It's the attraction of two forces that recognize one another without needing explanation. They spark instantly, not like a slow-burning candle but like two pieces of flint that collide and create fire. Their conversations ignite effortlessly. Humor flows naturally between them, quick, bright, and a little mischievous. Sagittarius teases her playfully, not disrespectfully. Leo responds with her signature blend of wit and regal charm. The rhythm between them forms within minutes, a rhythm that feels both spontaneous and strangely destined. They share an understanding that life should be lived with boldness. That authenticity is the only real currency worth spending. That passion, whether for love, adventure, or purpose, isn't something to be rationed but celebrated. Both of them reject boredom, monotony, and emotional games. Both follow their passions, even when it leads them into the unknown. Both admire strength, honesty, and courage. The unspoken connection between them forms faster than either expects. It's not just attraction, it's recognition. It's discovery. It's the sudden realization that someone else understands the language of their fire. This initial spark isn't forced. It's natural, powerful, and unforgettable. It leaves both of them standing a little taller, breathing a little deeper, and wondering what might happen if two people with this much fire dared to move closer. Their chemistry is not a flicker, it's a blaze. And in that first moment, both Sagittarius and Leo feel it. A promise of something vibrant, wild, and potentially life-shifting. The kind of attraction people remember even years later. The kind of spark that doesn't simply fade. It grows. Emotional dynamics. Emotionally, these two burn bright, but the way their flames move, respond, and express themselves is profoundly different. Their connection is built on fire, yes, but not the same type of fire. Sagittarius burns like a wildfire, expansive, free, unpredictable, following the wind and discovering new terrain with every shift. Leo burns like the sun, steady, radiant, generous, and impossible to ignore. When these two emotional climates meet, something extraordinary, and sometimes complicated, takes shape. The Sagittarius man's emotional world is defined by honesty. Not polite honesty, not carefully packaged honesty, raw, immediate, unfiltered truth. He doesn't believe in hiding how he feels, even when those feelings are messy or inconvenient. His emotions flow through him with an almost childlike purity. When he's happy, he's radiant. When he's frustrated, he's blunt. When he's in love, he's passionate in a way that feels like freedom rather than possession. But he also refuses to be emotionally chained. Freedom, to him, is the oxygen of his heart. He needs room to move, room to breathe, room to think. He needs spontaneity, not as a luxury, but as an emotional necessity. If he feels cornered, controlled, or suffocated, his spirit begins to dim. The Leo woman's emotional world, meanwhile, is built on depth, loyalty, and warmth so intense it's practically royal. She doesn't love lightly. She doesn't commit halfway. When she gives her heart, she gives it in full, expecting reciprocity not through submission but through appreciation. Her emotions run deep, and she expresses them through steadiness, affection, and a kind of devotion that feels both grounding and exhilarating. Her loyalty is fierce, her generosity is sincere, but with that emotional investment comes a need for recognition. Not vanity, validation. She wants to know she's valued, admired, appreciated, and truly seen by her partner. Her fire strengthens when she feels cherished, but dulls when she feels overlooked. Together, their emotional synergy can be stunning. Sagittarius brings Leo an emotional landscape filled with excitement, adventure, unpredictability, and the thrill of newness. He reminds her that life is meant to be lived with courage, curiosity, and spontaneous joy. He keeps her heart moving, expanding, burning with possibility. Leo, in return, brings Sagittarius warmth, emotional sanctuary, stability, and depth that teaches him that commitment does not equal confinement. Her love feels like a home he never knew he needed. She offers him a place to land without restricting his ability to fly. But the compatibility of their emotional flames depends heavily on understanding one essential truth. Sagittarius gives Leo excitement. Leo gives Sagittarius warmth. Without this balance, misunderstandings creep in. Problems arise when Leo's need for admiration collides with Sagittarius's casual approach to emotional expression. To him, affection is present in actions, shared experiences, laughter, adventures, honesty. To her, affection must sometimes be spoken, demonstrated, affirmed. If he forgets to compliment her or fails to express his feelings verbally, she might mistake his independence for emotional distance. She might feel unappreciated, unloved, or overshadowed by his relentless pursuit of freedom. Meanwhile, he might see her desire for emotional reassurance as clinginess or pressure. He may feel that her requests for attention threaten his independence. What she views as connection, he might misinterpret as constraint. These misunderstandings, however, are rarely deal breakers, because both have hearts that are not only fiery, but humble enough to reconsider, adjust, and grow. Fire signs don't run from emotions, they transform them. They engage with them, they tackle them head-on. When emotional conflict arises, Sagittarius's honesty and Leo's passion can turn a fight into a breakthrough. His truth can calm her insecurities. Her warmth can soften his defenses. When communication is open, when both partners speak without pride and listen without judgment, emotional crises between Sagittarius and Leo don't destroy the relationship, they deepen it. The fire between them doesn't burn the bridge, it forges it stronger. Instead of resentment, they often come out with more understanding, more trust, more emotional intimacy. What makes their emotional dynamic so powerful is that both partners inspire each other to grow. The Sagittarius man learns that expressing affection isn't a prison, it's a gift. The Leo woman learns that independence isn't rejection, it's part of his emotional integrity. Their emotional connection thrives when they allow their different flames to complement rather than compete. Together, their hearts create a love that burns brightly, courageously, and endlessly evolving. Proof that fire, when respected and understood, doesn't destroy. It illuminates, it warms, it transforms. Long-term compatibility. If there's one couple capable of transforming long-term love into something that feels like a lifelong adventure rather than a slow descent into routine, it's the Sagittarius man and the Leo woman. Their relationship is not a quiet, predictable love story. It's a vibrant, evolving, endlessly expanding journey fueled by passion, curiosity, and a mutual refusal to let life grow stale. What makes their long-term bond so uniquely powerful is that both partners possess an innate desire to grow, evolve, and breathe life into everything they touch. Together, they don't merely maintain a relationship, they keep it alive with the intensity and freshness of a fire that refuses to fade. Sagittarius seeks freedom, not freedom from love, but freedom within love. He doesn't fear commitment, he fears monotony, stagnation, emotional cages disguised as relationships. To him, long-term compatibility doesn't mean settling into predictable patterns, it means building a life that continues to surprise, challenge, and inspire both partners. He wants a future that feels like a thrilling novel, not a repetitive manual. His ideal relationship is one where spontaneity is not an occasional treat but a lifestyle. Leo, on the other hand, wants passion, not fleeting sparks, but a blazing flame that burns with purpose. She craves a life filled with meaning, shared dreams, and emotional richness. She wants a partner who stands beside her like a co-creator of their destiny, somebody who contributes to the life they are building, rather than merely passing through it. She thrives when her love feels dynamic, intentional, and emotionally rewarding. She needs a long-term partnership that feels significant, not just enjoyable, but fulfilling. When these two energies blend, something extraordinary happens. They create a relationship where both partners feel fully alive. The Sagittarius man brings movement, fresh horizons, new experiences, and a sense of limitless potential. The Leo woman brings vision, determination, emotional investment, and a sense of purpose that gives their adventures direction rather than chaos. Together, they balance each other's fire, one providing the spark, the other sustaining the flame. They thrive on shared experiences not because they force them, but because both naturally gravitate toward excitement. Travel becomes a love language. Social events become opportunities for shared joy. Creative projects turn into bonding moments. Even spontaneous decisions, like a last-minute road trip, a new hobby, or a bold life shift, feel natural for them. Their relationship rarely grows stagnant because they themselves reject stagnation. Growth is built into their personalities. Evolution is instinctive. Reinvention is a shared force that keeps their long-term connection fresh. As a couple, they evolve more dynamically than most zodiac pairs. Where others settle into routines, Sagittarius and Leo create chapters, each one distinct, each one filled with new stories. They don't fear change, they embrace it. This adaptability is the secret to their long-term compatibility. They refuse to let the relationship become something that merely exists. They insist on making it something that thrives. But long-term compatibility for them isn't effortless, it's intentional. It requires a deep understanding of each other's emotional needs and individual rhythms. Sagittarius must recognize that Leo needs appreciation, not superficial compliments, but meaningful recognition of her efforts, her loyalty, her presence, her heart. She doesn't ask for admiration out of vanity. She asks because appreciation is the emotional ecosystem where her love grows. Without feeling valued, her fire dims. With consistent acknowledgement, she becomes a radiant partner who pours warmth into every part of the relationship. Leo must also understand that Sagittarius's need for independence is not a threat to their love. It's not rebellion or carelessness, it's his emotional oxygen. Independence doesn't mean he loves her any less, it means he loves her enough to remain his full, authentic self. Restricting his freedom would shrink him. Supporting his independence makes him more loyal, more loving, and more emotionally present. When Leo recognizes this, she becomes the partner who strengthens him rather than unintentionally stifles him. Both must commit to honesty, not just honesty in words, but honesty in vulnerabilities, needs, desires, and boundaries. Respect is the soil where their long-term relationship grows. Compromise is the water that keeps it alive. Neither partner can flourish in a dynamic where pride replaces communication, or where assumptions replace understanding. Fortunately, both are naturally brave in love. They don't fear difficult conversations, they rise to them. When they strike this balance, their long-term bond becomes a blazing fire that never dims. In fact, it deepens. It becomes richer, more luminous, more powerful. Their love evolves from initial attraction into something far more profound, a partnership that feels like destiny meeting choice, passion meeting purpose, freedom meeting loyalty. Their relationship doesn't age, it expands. It doesn't fade, it intensifies. It becomes a legacy of two fiery souls choosing each other again and again, not out of obligation but out of genuine, ever-growing desire. For Sagittarius and Leo, long-term compatibility isn't a destination. It's a thrilling, lifelong journey of becoming more, loving deeper, and keeping their fire alive, no matter how many years pass. Communication conflict resolution. Communication between a Sagittarius man and a Leo woman is fast, vibrant, animated, and emotionally charged in all the best ways. It's the kind of communication that feels alive, full of laughter, honesty, rapid-fire exchanges, and a natural rhythm that seems to form the moment they begin talking. Both signs are outspoken, expressive, and allergic to silence that hides resentment. They despise emotional games, passive-aggressive behavior, or manipulation. For them, clarity is comfort, and directness is respect. Their conversations feel like two bright flames dancing around each other, never dull, never muted, always dynamic. But conflict? That's where the story deepens. Because when two fire signs clash, their fire can warm, or it can burn. Their communication styles, though similar in energy, differ dramatically in execution. And those differences can either create a powerful emotional breakthrough or ignite a temporary storm. The Sagittarius man argues with logic, bluntness, and sometimes a dose of humor he uses as both a shield and a tool. His emotional philosophy is rooted in truth. The raw truth, the uncomfortable truth, the truth that cuts through illusions and exposes the heart of the matter. He values transparency more than ego, more than pride, more than winning an argument. To him, honesty is love, even if it's sharp around the edges. His bluntness isn't cruelty, it's a belief that truth heals more deeply than silence. But because his delivery lacks softness, his words can come out like quick sparks, unexpected, stinging, and sometimes too hot for Leo's pride. The Leo woman, in contrast, argues with passion, pride, and emotion that comes from the deepest part of her being. When she speaks with intensity, her voice carrying both conviction and vulnerability, even when she doesn't want it to show. She values respect more than cold facts. To her, tone matters. Effort matters. Emotional intention matters. She needs to feel that her partner acknowledges her dignity, her heart, her role in the relationship. A dismissive tone, even if the words themselves are logical, can wound her more deeply than any truth spoken gently. This difference creates fertile ground for misunderstandings. His blunt honesty can feel too sharp, hitting her ego like a spark that lands on dry leaves. She can feel disrespected, dismissed, or underappreciated, not because he means to hurt her, but because his delivery lacks the emotional cushioning she needs. Meanwhile, her fiery emotional expression can feel overwhelming to his free-spirited soul. Her intensity, raised voice, or passionate defense of her feelings can seem like an attack rather than communication. What she sees as necessary expression, he might interpret as unnecessary drama. Yet despite these contrasts, both have an extraordinary gift: they don't stay angry for long. Neither sign is built to hold grudges. Sagittarius forgives quickly because negativity weighs him down more than conflict itself. He hates emotional heaviness and wants to return to joy as soon as possible. Leo forgives when she feels heard, respected, and emotionally validated. Her heart is huge, her pride is strong, but her love is stronger still. Once she knows the conflict mattered enough to be resolved with sincerity, she lets go. The path to harmony lies in emotional balance. Sagittarius must soften his words, not censor his truth, but deliver it with care, warmth, and intention. His honesty becomes more powerful when wrapped in empathy. When he speaks with gentleness, Leo opens rather than reacts. She leans in rather than pulls away. Leo, in turn, must leave room for humor, perspective, and flexibility. She must allow Sagittarius the space to lighten tense situations, not as avoidance, but as a reminder that love doesn't have to feel heavy. When she embraces his humor and his broader view, she remembers that not every disagreement is a threat. It softens her heart, cools her fire, and brings her closer to him rather than pushing him away. Both partners must avoid escalating small issues into battles of pride. Fire signs can heat up quickly, sometimes too quickly, turning minor annoyances into symbolic fights. But when they approach conflict with maturity rather than ego, something extraordinary happens. The fire transforms from destructive to constructive. Their arguments become catalysts for understanding, growth, and deeper intimacy. Handled wisely, conflict between them doesn't weaken their connection, it strengthens it. It becomes a tool, a mirror, a way of sharpening their emotional awareness and strengthening their bond. Their fights are not endings but beginnings, not fractures but opportunities to rebuild with more clarity and love. And once the storm passes, which it always does, their fire glows brighter than before, fueled by passion, truth, and the knowledge that they can face conflict without losing each other. Their communication, once raw and explosive, becomes one of the strongest pillars of their love, proof that even the hottest flames can warm rather than burn when tended with respect and emotional courage. Physical intimate connection. Their physical chemistry is nothing short of explosive, so potent, in fact, that even people around them can sense the electricity between them. It's the kind of chemistry that doesn't simply spark, it erupts, radiating through glances, gestures, and the quiet magnetism that pulls two fire signs toward one another with irresistible force. When a Sagittarius man and a Leo woman step into the intimate realm, something larger than the two of them takes shape. A blending of passion, playfulness, power, and emotional expression that feels almost cosmic. The Sagittarius man enters intimacy with the same qualities that define his spirit: playfulness, spontaneity, curiosity, and a deep desire to explore. For him, physical connection is not a routine or obligation. It's an adventure, a journey, a living experience that evolves with every moment. He treats intimacy like an expression of joy, of freedom, of emotional truth. His touch carries excitement, his energy carries unpredictability in the most exhilarating way. He sees their closeness as a bridge between hearts, a fiery ritual that deepens their bond while allowing them to get lost in the thrill of discovery. With Sagittarius, intimacy is never stale. It's experimental, creative, and alive with surprises. The Leo woman brings a different but equally powerful energy. She embodies passion down to her bones, sensuality, confidence, warmth, and a kind of emotional fire that feels both consuming and comforting. She desires intensity, romance, and a partner who meets her with equal fervor. She wants to feel not only adored but devoured, not only admired but deeply, intimately understood. She approaches intimacy like a queen inviting her chosen partner into her private world, full of loyalty, depth, and a heart that burns with desire. Her sensual presence is magnetic, her passion undeniable, her confidence intoxicating. She gives fully, not out of obligation, but out of pure emotional devotion. Together, these two create a physical connection that is passionate, lively, emotionally expressive, and surprisingly harmonious. Their chemistry is more than physical attraction, it's a merging of two fires that burn differently but complement each other perfectly. Leo brings warmth, the steady flame, the golden glow, the sensual heat that envelops and nurtures. Sagittarius brings excitement, the spark, the thrill, the sense of daring that keeps their connection fresh and irresistibly alive. The passion they share is fierce. It's the kind of passion that feels like standing too close to the sun, blinding, exhilarating, almost overwhelming in its intensity. Their intimacy often has an element of dramatic flair, laughter, boldness, teasing, and emotional boldness that transforms every encounter into something memorable. They don't just connect, they collide. And somehow, that collision feels natural, effortless, and deeply satisfying. Their physical bond is lively. There is movement, dynamism, and a sense that they're always discovering new layers of each other. Sagittarius adds spontaneity, making sure the flame never burns predictably. Leo adds presence, deep, sensual presence that roots the moment in emotion and meaning. Together, they create an intimate energy that feels like fire at play, wild yet controlled, powerful yet tender. Their connection is emotionally expressive. Neither of them approaches physical intimacy with emotional detachment. Sagittarius expresses joy, freedom, and desire through touch and connection. Leo expresses love, devotion, and vulnerability through passion and intensity. Their intimacy becomes a language, one where emotions are spoken without words, where affection becomes action, where desire becomes understanding. It's a communication of souls as much as bodies. And what surprises them most is how harmonious their differences become when they're close. Sagittarius's free-spirited approach blends beautifully with Leo's romantic depth. Leo's sensual intensity melds seamlessly with Sagittarius's adventurous spark. Their physical worlds don't clash, they merge, forming something richer and more balanced than either expected. Leo brings warmth, the emotional anchor that gives intimacy weight, depth, and significance. Sagittarius brings excitement, the ignition that keeps the flame wild, youthful, and ever-changing. Their intimate world becomes a fusion of passion and freedom, giving them both what they crave. Leo receives the affection and intensity she desires, while Sagittarius experiences the thrill and emotional openness that fuel his spirit. What makes their physical connection extraordinary is its evolution. It doesn't peak early and fade. It grows, it deepens, it expands with time, trust, and shared experiences. Each phase of their relationship unlocks a new layer of intimacy, more passion, more vulnerability, more understanding, more fire. Their closeness remains fresh because both partners continue to feed it, challenge it, and embrace it without fear. This is not a physical bond that dims with the years. It's one that becomes more complex, more magnetic, and more fulfilling. Their intimacy becomes a sanctuary, one filled with laughter, heat, affection, adventure, and emotional truth. A place where two fiery souls can be wild together, soft together, powerful together. For Sagittarius and Leo, physical and intimate connection isn't just part of the relationship, it's a celebration of their fire, their love, and their unshakable chemistry. It's where their spirits meet without barriers, where their hearts speak without hesitation, and where their flames burn brighter with every touch. Shared values, life goals. At their core, both the Sagittarius man and the Leo woman share a value system that aligns so naturally, so instinctively, that it feels less like compatibility and more like destiny. Their shared values are not superficial preferences, they are foundational beliefs, deeply embedded in how they see life, love, purpose, and possibility. And when two people share such powerful internal compasses, their connection becomes something far greater than romance. It becomes a partnership built for expansion, adventure, and profound meaning. Both signs live by honesty, not the filtered, carefully curated honesty that protects egos, but the bold, unflinching kind that sets them apart from most people. Sagittarius treats truth as sacred. He cannot love where truth is absent. His honesty is spontaneous, sometimes blunt, but always rooted in integrity. Leo, meanwhile, values truth because it validates respect. To her, honesty is loyalty in action. She gives her full heart only when she knows she's with someone who speaks authentically, even when truth feels vulnerable or inconvenient. Together, their commitment to honesty creates a foundation so solid that misunderstandings rarely linger. Transparency is their native language. Adventure runs through both of their souls like flame through dry grass. Sagittarius seeks adventure instinctively. He needs it, breathes it, longs for it. But Leo, though often misinterpreted as preferring stability, carries her own wild spirit. She desires a life full of experiences, beauty, excitement, and extraordinary memories. She wants a life worth telling stories about. When these two share a goal, it's rarely something small. Their dreams stretch, expand, and glow with fire. They choose roads that few others dare to walk. They travel, explore, and take risks, not recklessly, but with passion and purpose. Loyalty is another cornerstone of their bond. Sagittarius, despite his reputation for restlessness, is fiercely loyal when he chooses someone from his heart rather than convenience. His loyalty comes from devotion to shared truth and shared freedom. Leo's loyalty, on the other hand, is legendary. She loves with a steadfastness that feels royal, unwavering, and deeply protective. When these two commit, they create a loyalty that feels like standing in a circle of fire, warm, fierce, and impenetrable. Authenticity binds them even more tightly. Neither sign can tolerate pretense. Sagittarius demands realness, genuine emotion, genuine conversation, genuine connection. Leo requires authenticity because anything less cheapens her love and dulls her fire. She must feel she's with someone who sees her true self, not just the version that dazzles. Together, they create a relationship where authenticity is not negotiated, it's expected. And that rawness deepens their connection far beyond appearances. Optimism flows naturally through both of them. Sagittarius is the philosopher of hope. Leo is the embodiment of radiant confidence. He believes in possibility. She believes in herself and in the power of love. Together, their optimism becomes contagious, lifting their life, their relationship, and their future. When challenges come, and every partnership faces them, they don't collapse into despair. Instead, they rise with brighter fire, turning setbacks into lessons, fears into motivation, and obstacles into stepping stones. Personal growth is another shared value that makes their connection extraordinary. Sagittarius thrives on becoming more, expanding his mind, broadening his worldview, breaking old patterns. Leo thrives on elevating herself, emotionally, creatively, spiritually. She wants to shine brighter, not for applause, but for fulfillment. Together, they become catalysts for each other's evolution. They inspire one another. They challenge one another. They refuse to let each other shrink or settle. Growth isn't an option, it's a lifestyle they build together. Both dream of a big life, a meaningful one. They want experiences, not routine. Passion, not apathy. Purpose, not complacency. They reject the idea of shrinking themselves to fit into small expectations or small lives. They crave expansion, experiences that shake the soul awake, journeys that reveal new parts of themselves, challenges that test their strength and deepen their bond. And most importantly, they want a love that feels like a partnership, not a cage. They want connection that gives both room to breathe, room to grow, room to become. They want commitment that encourages freedom, not restricts it. Their goals often align naturally because both of them carry similar desires for the future. They want independence within the relationship, not emotional distance, but mutual respect for individuality. They want travel, excitement, new horizons, not as escapism, but as a way of living fully. They want truth and emotional sincerity, not illusions or performance. They want to live boldly, not safely, not quietly, but fiercely, intentionally, and unapologetically. And because their visions of life are so aligned, something magical happens. Their dreams merge instead of collide. Their goals don't compete, they amplify. Their values don't conflict, they reinforce one another. Their desires don't separate them, they draw them closer. Together, Sagittarius and Leo create a shared life philosophy, a burning, bright, courageous worldview that transforms their relationship into something powerful, passionate, and deeply inspiring. They don't just share goals, they build a life where those goals come alive, one adventure, one conversation, one act of love at a time. Final thoughts. The love between a Sagittarius man and a Leo woman is a blazing fire, bright, warm, adventurous, and deeply, unmistakably alive. It's the kind of love that doesn't tiptoe quietly into existence. It arrives with heat, color, movement, and a sense of destiny that neither can deny. Their connection has a wildness to it, a freedom, a vibrancy that makes it feel less like a traditional romance and more like an epic written across constellations. It's laughter echoing in unexpected places, passion that feels like a sunrise, exploration that never ends, and emotional growth that happens naturally simply because being together brings out the fullest, truest versions of themselves. Yes, they challenge each other. They ignite each other. They awaken parts of each other that may have slept for years. Sagittarius challenges Leo to release her fears and step into greater expansiveness, reminding her that love isn't a cage, it's a journey. Leo challenges Sagittarius to dig deeper, to feel more boldly, to understand that vulnerability is not weakness but courage. They each push the other out of comfort zones not to destabilize the connection, but to strengthen it. Their challenges aren't roadblocks, they're catalysts. Yes, they must learn to balance freedom with affection, honesty with sensitivity, passion with patience. These lessons are not small, they are lifelong commitments to growth. Sagittarius must remember that Leo needs tenderness, warmth, and acknowledgement of her radiant heart. His independence cannot replace intimacy. Leo must remember that Sagittarius breathes through freedom and curiosity. Her passion cannot become pressure. Their differences are not flaws, they are balancing forces, ones that, when harmonized, produce a relationship that is richer, deeper, and more enduring. But when they do find that balance, when they learn to speak each other's emotional language, when they respect each other's flames instead of trying to tame them, something extraordinary happens. This relationship becomes legendary. Not legendary in a dramatic, destructive way, but in the kind of way people talk about for years. In the way friends admire. In the way strangers notice. Their connection glows. It inspires. It radiates joy, resilience, courage, and vibrancy. It becomes a living proof that two powerful souls can love without dimming each other, that fire signs don't have to burn out, they can burn brighter together. It becomes a love that inspires others, not because it's perfect, but because it's passionate, honest, evolving, and full of devotion. It's a love story written in bold strokes, not careful outlines. A connection built on fire, yet matured through loyalty and understanding. A partnership that thrives not in stillness, but in movement. Not in captivity, but in freedom. Not in fear, but in trust. The archer and the lioness aren't just compatible, they're extraordinary when they choose each other fully. When Sagittarius chooses Leo, he chooses warmth, loyalty, and the brightest version of love he'll ever experience. When Leo chooses Sagittarius, she chooses joy, growth, and a partner who sees her not as a queen to be obeyed, but as a soul to be celebrated. Together, they create a love that feels grand, heartfelt, wild, and deeply human. A love that expands as they expand, strengthens as they grow, and deepens with every risk they take together. Their story isn't quiet, it's epic. And if they nurture their flame with intention and respect, it's a love that can outshine the very stars that inspired their signs. If you'd like me to write a second part, a character-driven version, or a dramatic storytelling adaptation where Sagittarius and Leo come alive like protagonists in a novel, just let me know. I'd be thrilled to expand their world.